Most of us here this morning, you know that Shane and I are parents of 3 usually adorable children. Well, being a mom and a wife and a servant of 5, my first question most often in the morning, what's for dinner? I wake thinking that question because planning for 5 and 5 busy people, often going in 5 different directions, even in the evening, it's been a hard lesson for me to learn, but that afternoon I learned it one more time. Interruptions. We all get them, often, most days, and they can be really pesky things. But the truth is that the interruptions are important people. An interruption, if we receive it, makes us present to the person in our presence. And you want to make your mark on the world? That's where we leave our mark on this world. Because in engaging the interruption, whether it's a child hugging on you, or someone in your office, or your spouse interrupting your favorite hobby, whatever the moment, by engaging with that one individual, you have left a mark of love on them, and they've left a mark of love on you. That is leaving our mark on the world. That is becoming great. Today's reading in the Gospel according to Mark, Jesus for the second time is walking with his disciples and teaching them, I am about to undergo great suffering. I'm going to be killed. And after 3 days, I will rise again. And the disciples cannot, for whatever reason, receive this teaching. They're not ready to hear it and to take it to heart. They're not ready to engage with Jesus in that moment. And so they do what we often do, busy ourselves with something else. And they did. They busied themselves all the way, leaving the area of the Gentiles, going home through Galilee to Capernaum. Which one of us is the greatest? There's 12, all arm wrestling, right, John? That's what they were arguing about. Jesus knows this, and so when they get to the house where they're going to stop for the day, he asks them, point blank, what were you arguing about? And again, none of the disciples engage. But Jesus engages anyway. Last week we heard him say the same message, but he taught not only his disciples, remember he taught the whole crowd. If you want to be my disciple, take up your cross and follow me. This week the moment is private. He's in a home. It's just Jesus and his friends. And he's teaching them what it means to be a disciple. It means you must be willing to be servant to all and welcome the child. In that word servant, that same meaning is slave. And they knew what it was, or who it was, that were slaves. Because they had slaves that served in their homes. In fact, that child might have even been a servant or a slave who was bringing in more water or more wine that night at table with them. And when Jesus says you must be willing to welcome the child, he literally meant the insignificant person in your midst. Because in the time of Jesus, in the 21st or in the 1st century of time, children were not priceless little critters and beloved little people. They weren't. They were expendable. They were servants. They were procreated so the farm could survive. There was reasons we had children, and we hoped that they grew, And I'm sure as the parents, we loved the ones we had. But as a whole, to the people and community, children were the vulnerable in their midst. So Jesus takes that child and puts him right here, and he hugs him. That would have been unheard of in that community. So it's more than just the metaphor of, a person or growing up. It's really about a child. And when you welcome one such child as this, you welcome not only me, but the Father who sent me. Next Sunday, we're all going to have an opportunity. You've heard me already invite us. I'm inviting you again. Next Sunday is our Sacred Conversation Sunday. We do this together every year. And this was not an opportunity that Reverend Carla started. This is an opportunity because this is something St. Margaret's partnered with in ministry when you all decided to join SURE several years ago before you called me into your midst. And so we continue this practice. And it's just a conversation, us, on that Sunday. You're right after worship. And it's for each of us simply to share what is your concern. What keeps you up at night? What do you worry about? There are lots of issues and concerns as we read our paper and look out over our Sarasota community that we could all bring. But I'm going to share mine with you this week. One of the concerns for me about this community, things that actually bother me and keep me up, wake me up from sleep. It is about the children in the county of Sarasota. Do you all know that 51% of our student population receive free or reduced meals at school? 51% of the student population. So that doesn't include any babies or toddlers or preschoolers. That's K through 12. If you are hungry when you get on that bus to go to school, your mind does not think about school, which is their job. We all have a job, they have a job. It's their day of education. You can't think about your job when you're hungry, because all you're thinking about is where maybe a next meal might be coming from, because you're focused on the hunger. The children who are hungry and may have trouble honestly thinking about their schoolwork often get into trouble. I've been a teacher in school systems. I know what it's like. You need little Johnny or little Susie to be at task on your math or your reading or whatever you're doing, because I've only got 6 hours a day, and it's my job as their teacher to educate them. Can't do that if they're not on task. And so they get in trouble. And trouble can lead to discipline in the classroom, but it can lead also to more trouble than outside of the classroom. And then out of school suspension. Out of school suspension means they're not at their job. It also offers more trouble opportunities. Because if I'm not in school, I can really find some trouble now. Getting into trouble outside of school can lead to civil citations, and if I don't stop there, it can actually lead to arrest, which leads to more problems. It's a vicious cycle. And 51% of our children could be in danger of that cycle. Several of us, almost 30 of us, in fact, served at the most recent partnership in ministry, Day for Hope. I hope that more of us will serve again at Christmas for Hope, December 8th. Mark your calendar. And all of the ones who did serve, they loved those beautiful children and their families. You were so excited to be prayer partners with them. Every child in the family received a bag of non-perishables, another bag of fruits and veggies, another backpack full of appropriate school supplies for their year. They got medical screenings, haircuts, family portraits, student portraits, and they prayed with us before they left. But then the day was over. And since that day, I have been asked more times than I can begin to count, what else can we do for those families? And I know you're excited to hear that there's Christmas for Hope coming. There's one other day that we'll be able to serve those same families. So we will serve them 2 days out of 365 days. You want to make a lasting change for those children? A lasting change for those families? Or maybe it's a lasting change because your concern is about our senior adults who are now finding themselves retired and their partner needs appropriate health care and nursing home facilities, but they're not affordable. We have seniors who are struggling to house themselves because there's not enough and appropriate senior affordable housing. It's hard work. It's ongoing work. It is work that will never go away because it's always about caring for people. And it goes together, hand in hand, side by side. We meet the needs with the supplies, but we also have to change the situation that keeps it in the status quo that isn't working. You all know the old saying, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man a fish, he eats for a lifetime. Give a parent a box of diapers. They can diaper and care for the infant for 1 week. The diapers are gone. How about bringing up the hourly rate of pay to match an economic reality for that single mom so that she can make sure she can have a roof over their heads? How about bringing up affordable health care for our senior adults so I don't have to watch my spouse who's sick and now possibly dying because I can't afford to continue their health care? We at St. Margaret's, we partner with several outreach ministry partners. Partners like Salvation Army, and we feed meals there twice a month. We partner with Resurrection House, serving the homeless persons in Sarasota, and through that we send toiletries, towels, sheets. You can donate your bicycle to them. We partner with All Faith Food Bank, and we work every month to fill that yellow barrel down there in our hallway with non-perishable foods. And now with that, we're partnering with St. Wilfrid's Episcopal Church on Friday afternoons to serve those who come to the food pantry. We're now partnering with Hope for Communities, serving at the Day for Hope and Christmas for Hope events. Those are the supply the need moments. But we also partner with SURE, Sarasota United for Responsibility and Equity, because that's the social justice organization in our county. If you know of another one, please bring it to my attention. But I know of no other organization in our county at this time that is working to change the situations, to change laws, zoning ordinances, all of those things so that we change it for the better for the whole community. They go hand in hand. They work side by side. You can't have and fill all of the needs only with one. You have to have both. Today's gospel, Jesus asserts that greatness involves empathy and compassion. Greatness is embodied in our caring for the most vulnerable in our midst. First, we embrace them with love, like Jesus did. He hugged that child. Then we need to hear their stories and respond in care. We do our best ministries with the children and the senior adults and any other vulnerable person in our community when we recognize their need And when we make sure that all of God's children know how much God loves them, that we also love them, and that we believe their lives matter and are as full of possibilities